Hello YouTube. The Trans-Pacific Partnership, the TPP, is a secretive multinational trade agreement that threatens to extend restrictive intellectual property (IP) laws across the globe and rewrite international rules on its enforcement. It is currently being negotiated behind closed doors by officials from the United States and 11 other countries: Australia, Brunei, Canada, Chile, Japan, Malaysia, Mexico, New Zealand, Peru, Singapore, and Vietnam. The Trans-Pacific Partnership (TPP) has been under negotiation for 5 years. Let's cover a few reasons why we should stand against the TPP. TPP would grant foreign corporations shocking new powers to attack the laws we rely on for a clean environment, safe food, and decent jobs. Under TPP, these corporations could sneak around our courts and laws and grab millions in our tax dollars, all because they don't like our laws. How could this be possible? TPP gives foreign firms special privileges, better treatment than local companies. It empowers foreign corporations to drag the U.S. government in front of secret foreign tribunals comprised of 3 private attorneys authorized to order massive payouts. There is no outside appeal to these tribunals' dictates, and there is no limit on the laws the corporations can attack or the amount of our tax dollars the government can be ordered to pay when the foreign corporations think that their special TPP rights have been undermined by the laws all the rest of us have to meet. This crazy system of extreme corporate privileges is called the investor-state regime. It gives an individual foreign corporation equal status with the entire U.S. federal government, allowing the foreign firms to privately enforce a public treaty. The 3 corporate lawyers who act as judges are unaccountable to any electorate, and many rotate between suing governments for corporations and acting as the judges. They apply the law of TPP and World Bank and UN rules. U.S. laws and courts are cast aside even though U.S. laws are being attacked. When an investor-state tribunal rules in favor of the foreign investor, the government must hand the corporation an amount of taxpayer money decided by the tribunal. Tribunals have already ordered governments to pay over $3.5 billion in investor-state cases under existing U.S. agreements. This includes payments over toxic bans, land use policies, water rights, oil contracts, forestry rules, and more. There are more than $14.7 billion in these corporate tax claims awaiting decision right now under U.S. agreements alone. Even when governments win, they often must pay for the tribunal's costs and legal fees, which average $8 million per case. In a threat to our sovereignty and solvency, the TPP would expand the scope of policies that could be attacked, and there would be 15,000 new foreign corporations empowered by TPP to attack U.S. law. The Trans-Pacific Partnership would promote offshoring of American jobs. Nearly 5 million American manufacturing jobs, 1 out of every 4, have been lost since implementation of the North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, and the World Trade Organization, WTO. Since NAFTA, over 60,000 American manufacturing facilities have closed. The TPP would replicate and expand on the NAFTA model. A leaked text revealed the TPP is slated to include the extreme foreign investor privileges that help corporations offshore more U.S. jobs to low-wage countries. These NAFTA-style terms provide special benefits to firms that relocate abroad and eliminate many of the usual risks that make firms think twice about moving to low-wage countries. Under the NAFTA model, U.S. manufacturing imports have soared while growth of U.S. manufacturing exports have slowed. The TPP includes Vietnam, a new favorite for corporations job offshoring because wages there are even lower than China. Already, the growth of the U.S. trade deficit with China since China entered the WTO in 2001 has had a devastating effect on U.S. workers and the U.S. economy. Between 2001 and 2011, 2.7 million U.S. jobs were lost or displaced. Devastation of U.S. manufacturing drives down wages, erodes the tax base, and heightens inequality. Despite major gains in American worker productivity, real median wages hover at 1979 levels. Government data shows that 2 out of every 5 displaced manufacturing workers who were rehired in 2012 experienced wage reductions of more than 20%. 20%, folks! With the loss of manufacturing tax revenue that could have funded social services or local infrastructure projects have declined. While displaced workers have turned to ever-shrinking welfare programs, this has resulted in the virtual collapse of some local governments in areas hardest hit. The Trans-Pacific Partnership would undermine food safety. The TPP would require us to limit food labeling and to import meat and poultry that do not meet U.S. food safety standards. The TPP would require us to allow food imports if the exporting country claims that their safety regime is equivalent to our own, even if it violates the key principles of our food safety laws. These rules would effectively outsource domestic food inspection to other countries. Under the TPP, any U.S. food safety rule on pesticides, labeling, or additives that is higher than international standards would be subject to challenge as illegal trade barriers. The U.S. could be required to eliminate these rules and allow in the unsafe food under threat of trade sanctions. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration already inspects less than 1% of all seafood imports for health hazards. Entering into the TPP with Malaysia and Vietnam, both TPP negotiating parties and major seafood exporters, would increase seafood imports and further overwhelm inspectors' limited ability to ensure the safety of our food. Some TPP countries have serious shrimp and fish safety issues. For example, even with the minimal inspections, high levels of contaminants have been found in Vietnamese seafood. Under the TPP, food labels could also be challenged as trade barriers. The TPP would impose limits on labels providing information on where a food product comes from. The TPP would impose limits on labels providing information on where a food product comes from. The TPP also would endanger labels identifying genetically modified foods, GMOs, and labels identifying how food was produced. The TPP would expand the limits on consumer labels already included in existing trade agreements, like the World Trade Organization, but already under the WTO, the U.S. Dolphin Safe Tuna Fish label and our country of origin meat and poultry labels have been successfully attacked by other countries. And under the TPP, a foreign meat processing or food corporation operating within the U.S. could directly challenge our policies that they claim undermine their expectations, meaning a barrage of new demands for taxpayer compensation.